Your 401,000 just got caught in the crossfire of the biggest banking rule change since 1971, and most Americans have absolutely no clue it is already happening. As of right now, a secret set of regulations has fundamentally rewired how the entire financial system values your retirement assets, and if you are holding traditional stocks and bonds, you are sitting on a sinking ship. These are not proposals or distant warnings. They are active, finalized mandates forcing global banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs to scramble and restructure their entire balance sheets this very week. If you have money in a 401,000, a 403 billion, or a traditional IRA, your purchasing power is being systematically drained by a Tier 1 reset that is moving trillions of dollars into a hidden asset class while leaving your retirement as the collateral damage. You could see the value of your life savings drop by 40% in the next 24 months, but only if you stay trapped in the retail loop that the big banks designed for you. The curiosity you should have right now isn't just about the banks, but why the world's most powerful financial institutions are suddenly hoarding the exact asset they've spent 50 years calling useless and barbarous. Why is the smart money fleeing the very system they sold to you? Subscribe to Tax Hack Pro. We follow the money and the legislative shifts that the mainstream media refuses to audit because they are funded by the very institutions we are exposing. Hit that subscribe button now so you can stop being the exit liquidity for Wall Street and start playing the same game as the billionaires. We are currently in the final phase of a global regulatory shift known as the Basel III Endgame. To the average person, Basel III sounds like a dry banking manual or a boring meeting in Switzerland, but it is actually the ultimate financial reset for 2026. This rule dictates exactly what a bank considers safe versus toxic. For over half a century, the financial world operated on a lie that government debt was the only risk-free asset. Gold, meanwhile, was treated as a Tier 3 asset, meaning banks had to hold massive amounts of cash against it because the regulators considered it risky. But as of 2026, the Global Board has officially reclassified physical gold as a Tier 1 high-quality liquid asset. This is the massive twist that the media missed. Banks can now count physical gold at 100% of its value toward their mandatory reserves. This makes gold exactly like cash or government bonds in the eyes of the law. The central bankers have quietly made gold the new bond, creating an anchor for the system as the dollar continues to lose its grip. But here is the trap for your retirement. While physical gold is now real money for the banks, the paper gold found in most retirement ETFs, mutual funds, and derivative products is now being treated as toxic waste. If a bank holds paper gold, they now face an 85% stable funding penalty. This is creating a paper-to-physical collapse where institutions are dumping paper promises and hoarding the real metal. If you want to know how to move your 401,000 into the same Tier 1 safety zone as the big banks, you must subscribe to Tax Hack Pro. We audit the 2026 banking protocols to help you move your wealth into protected zones before the paper pyramid falls and takes your savings with it. For 40 years, the price of silver has been suppressed through a process known as naked short selling. In this game, massive banks would sell contracts for millions of ounces of silver they didn't actually have in their vaults. By flooding the market with paper silver, they kept the price low and controlled. But Basel III effectively kills this game by making it too expensive for banks to hold these unbacked short positions. The cost of holding these lies is now so high that banks are being forced to either buy the physical metal to back their contracts or close their shorts at a massive multi-billion-dollar loss. This is why we have seen silver surge 205% year-over-year in 2026. The ratio of paper to physical silver is a staggering 300 to 1. There are 300 people who think they own an ounce of silver for every 1 actual ounce that exists. When that gap closes, the retail sheep holding standard index funds will be the ones left holding the bag. The Federal Reserve is currently in an impossible position. They are cutting interest rates to stimulate a flat economy, but this is pouring high-octane gasoline on an inflation fire that is already burning at a rate much higher than official data admits. While the U.S. government faces a $20 trillion deficit over the next decade, they are injecting $55 billion into the economy in 3-week bursts just to keep the gears turning. This is devaluing every single dollar in your 401,000 while the Tier 1 assets, the physical metals, continue to climb toward the moon. We are witnessing the reverse of 1971. In 1971, President Nixon took us off the gold standard to allow for infinite printing. In 2026, Basel III is quietly putting the banking system back on a gold standard, but they forgot to invite the American public. You need to act as your own forensic auditor right now. Look at your portfolio. Do you own paper claims, or do you own physical reality? The standard 60/40 portfolio of stocks and bonds is failing because bonds are no longer safe. They are losing purchasing power to inflation every single day. If your bond pays 4%, but real-world inflation is 8%, you are losing 4% of your wealth every year just for standing still. The regulators have made it official. Gold is the new anchor for wealth. It has scarcity, it cannot be printed by a central bank, and it has zero counterparty risk if you hold it in a physical IRA or a secure vault. The industrial demand for silver is also reaching a breaking point that is being completely ignored by the mainstream news. Companies like Tesla, Samsung, and Apple are now competing directly with global banks for the limited physical supply needed for EV components, high-efficiency solar panels, and the next generation of AI chips. Every single AI server rack requires pounds of silver to function. We are looking at a global physical shortage where delivery times for large industrial orders have reached 4 months. When the industrial giants and the central banks are fighting over the same scarce resource, the price doesn't just go up, it enters a vertical explosion. Don't let your American dream be derailed by 1970s era investment advice. The rules of the wealth game have been rewired overnight while you were sleeping. You need to diversify into assets that the Basel III rules actually value. This means looking at allocated physical metals stored in secure, insured facilities in your own name. If you hold an unallocated account at a major bank, you are just an unsecured creditor. If that bank fails, you get pennies on the dollar while the bank's Tier 1 physical reserves are used to save their own skin and pay off their institutional partners. If you are a business owner or a retiree trying to survive this money printing madness, you must subscribe to Tax Hack Pro. We are building the ultimate defensive playbook for the 2026 economy, showing you how to tax hack your way out of depreciating assets and into the Tier 1 future. History always rhymes, and every time the definition of money changes, there is a massive, violent transfer of wealth. The winners are those who hold the assets the new rules value most. Right now, that is physical reality over paper promises. In 1933, the government took the gold from the people. In 1971, they took the gold backing from the dollar. And in 2026, they are taking the gold back for themselves. Stay vigilant. The Fed is bailing out institutions quietly right now, printing currency to cover the losses of banks caught on the wrong side of this silver and gold reset. This loop of printing and bailing out is the endgame that Basel III was designed to survive. Your job is to make sure your retirement isn't the collateral damage of their transition to a new monetary system. Knowledge is your only shield. Audit your 400 and 1000, check your ETFs for physical backing, and move your wealth into the safety of the new Tier 1 reality. If your financial advisor hasn't mentioned Basel III or the Tier 1 reclassification of gold, it's because they either don't know or they aren't allowed to tell you. Share this video with every person you know who is relying on a traditional retirement plan. They need to see the fine print before the next $55 billion money injection hits the system. This isn't just a trend. It's a structural realignment of global power. While the West has been focused on digital assets and paper gains, the East, led by China and the BRICS nations, has been hoarding physical metal for over a decade. The Shanghai Gold Exchange is now a physical-only market, meaning they recognize the Basel III reality long before the West was forced to adopt it. This is why the dollar is under pressure. When the world demands physical settlement instead of paper IOUs, the country with the most IOUs in circulation is the one that loses. That country is currently the United States. What does this mean for your daily life? It means that the cost of everything will continue to rise, while the quoted value of your retirement account might stay the same or grow slowly. This is the inflation tax. If your 400 and 1000 goes up 5%, but the cost of bread, gas, and healthcare goes up 10%, you're getting poorer while the numbers on your screen look better. The only way to stop this bleed is to own the assets that the banks are using to hedge against this exact scenario. The silver market is particularly interesting because it is the Achilles heel of the big banks. Because of the 300-1 paper leverage, a small move in the physical price of silver creates a massive, exponential crisis for those who are short. We are seeing a short squeeze of epic proportions. As the price of silver rises, banks are forced to buy more to cover their losses, which drives the price even higher. This is a feedback loop that has never happened on this scale in history. You also need to look at the tax hack implications of this. In many jurisdictions, physical gold and silver held in certain types of accounts can offer unique tax advantages compared to traditional brokerage accounts. By moving from paper to physical, you aren't just changing your asset class, you are changing your legal standing in the financial system. You are moving from a beneficial owner of a bank's debt to a legal owner of a tangible asset. In a 2026 banking crisis, that distinction is the difference between keeping your wealth and losing it to a bail-in procedure. We have seen the bail-in rules in action in other countries, and they are part of the hidden fine print in many U.S. banking agreements as well. A bail-in allows a failing bank to convert your deposits or certain paper investments into bank equity to save the institution. You essentially become a forced shareholder in a bankrupt bank. But physical assets, Tier 1 assets held in your name, are exempt from these procedures. This is why the billionaires are moving their money into private vaults and physical metals. They know that when the music stops, there won't be enough chairs for everyone holding a paper ticket. As we move deeper into 2026, the volatility in the markets will only increase. You will see wild swings in the stock market as the Fed struggles to balance high debt with rising inflation. These swings are designed to shake out the retail sheep, the people who panic and sell at the bottom. But the smart money doesn't panic because they are anchored by Tier 1 assets. They know that even if the stock market drops 20%, their gold and silver positions will likely act as a counterbalance, protecting their total net worth. The Basel III Endgame is the final chapter of a monetary system that has been running on debt and fumes for 50 years. We are transitioning to a system that requires real collateral, real assets, and real transparency. The banks have already made their move. They have spent the last 3 years quietly accumulating the largest gold reserves in history. They have rewritten the rules to favor themselves. Now, it is your turn to make a move. You have the information, you have the audit, you have the tax hack roadmap. Don't be the person who looks back in 2028 and wonders why they didn't listen when the writing was on the wall. The purchasing power of your retirement is your life's work. Don't let it be a victim of a banking rule change that was designed to happen in the dark. Take a look at your statements tonight. Call your advisor and ask them about the Basel III Tier 1 reclassification. If they give you a blank stare, you know you're talking to someone who is part of the old system. Seek out the specialists, look for the allocated storage options, and move your wealth into the reality of 2026. This is Tax Hack Pro, and we are auditing the 2026 financial reset until the truth is in your hands. We are building a community of informed, sovereign individuals who refuse to be slaughtered like retail sheep. Share this video with your family, your coworkers, and anyone you care about who has a retirement account. This is the most important financial audit of our lifetime, and the window to act is closing as the money printing accelerates. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay in control of your own assets. The end game is here, but for those who are prepared, it is the beginning of the greatest wealth-building opportunity in history. I'll see you in the next investigation, where we break down the new IRS rules for digital asset reporting that are hitting in April. You won't want to miss that one either. This is Tax Hack Pro signing off.